Hey guys, welcome to interesting video on Wild Rift. So we're back with yet another Varus updated complete guide, and today we're going to be taking a look at Lethality Varus. Now of course, take a look at the Varus basic guide for the skills, leveling order, tips and tricks, as well as combos that I released 2 days ago. I'll put it up in the cards above. But let's jump straight into talking about the build. So Lethality Varus obviously focuses on full lethality. It takes advantage of the new and improved mana mune, which now works on abilities, which basically just makes this build all the more better. Okay, so let's start off. First things first, you of course start off with the mana mune. That gives you mana, AD, and of course the extra damage, on your basic attacks as well as your abilities. Mainly your Q is the important one that you want to take note of. Next up, you go for Youmuu's Ghostblade as a standard first lethality item. This gives you, of course, 15 armor penetration, 50 AD, 15 ability haste, as well as the passive, which gives you extra movement speed for faster map rotations. And when you use up your momentum stacks, you get additional attack speed for that few seconds, which can be useful on Varus to stack up your blight stacks and pop them. And yeah, so next up, boots. We like to go for lucidity boots, and for the enchant, generally we go for stasis for the safety. And after that, we transition into our percent armor penetration item, being the Seralda's Grudge, which of course is really useful because it gives you a slow on your Q as well as your E. And when you're launching Qs at long range, sometimes that slow can help your teammates or yourself catch up to them, or sometimes even run away. Of course, like Grievous Wounds is not really important because you already have Grievous Wounds on your E. And your last lethality item, we're gonna go for the Edge of Night. Of course, that gives you 8 armor penetration, 250 health, as well as a little bit of AD. And of course, the main reason is the spell shield, which is going to help you against enemy, dangerous spells. And finally, I like to top it off with a GA, of course, for the revive. Now, you can also not go for GA and instead go for another lethality item. Some of the other lethality items you can choose from include like something like Duskblade or Serpent's Fang. And of course, if you're, for example, you want to build Serpent's Fang, you could also go for that instead of Ghostblade, or you could also go for Edge of Night first, and then Serpent's Fang later, and not build Ghostblade at all. Basically, the two lethality items you see here are very interchangeable with other lethality items. The main reason why I like to go for Ghostblade first is it gives you a whopping 50 lethality, 50 AD, and like it gives the best stats out of all the lethality items. And if you don't need the special effects of the other lethality items like Edge of Night Shield or like Serpent's Fang anti-shielding, then basically Youmuu's is going to be the best first lethality item you can get. And now for the runes. So here we actually have a change. I used to take Airy because obviously with lethality you give a lot of poke, and Airy just increases your poke, but honestly Airy doesn't increase your poke by all that much anyway, so I realized that some other runes are going to be better. So I tried out Lethal Tempo, Conqueror, and Kraken Slayer, and on the lethality build, personally I like Lethal Tempo the most. Now of course you don't gain any attack speed at all from your build that's full lethality, but you do gain attack speed from your passive. And in certain situations where your spells are down, which don't forget that Varus, Q, and E spell cooldowns are relatively long, so there are going to be downtimes, and Lethal Tempo helps you a lot during those downtimes, especially in lane and also in late game team fights when you're safely behind your teammates. You can start just auto attacking people. Now of course this is not going to do as much as like a crit or on hit Varus's basic attack damage. However, don't forget that you are still building full AD, full lethality. You still have that mana mune to increase the damage of your basic attacks. You still have that lethality to ignore the enemy's armor, so your basic attacks are still going to be doing a little bit of damage, and as such I think Lethal Tempo is going to be the best rune for Varus now. For the domination rune, I like taking Triumph because Varus has a lot of situations where you can snipe low HP people, and that Triumph helps you just finish off the kill when it comes to those kind of situations. And honestly, I don't think anything else is really good. Hunter Vampirism doesn't really matter for lethality Varus because you don't have a lot of uptime anyways, and something like a Giant Slayer would be okay, but it's not that good considering lethality Varus sucks against tanks anyways, and if you're playing against tanks you should go for one of Varus's other builds. So for the Resolve rune, I like to go for Bone Plating, of course, as usual for the anti-burst, and you can also go for Perseverance sometimes if there's a lot of CC on the enemy team. And for my last rune, I go for Transcendence. Because lethality Varus doesn't have mana issues because you have the mana mune, you can afford to go for Transcendence, which actually comes in very handy when you reach that, you know, break point where you get the 15% of your cooldown back, especially on your Q, which even at max rank, in my opinion, still has a really long cooldown, you know, being your bread and butter ability. So the Transcendence is going to help us out quite a bit. And for the spells, of course, we go for Flash as well as Exhaust. And that's pretty much it for the build. Now let's talk about the gameplay. Okay, so gameplay. Now, as usual, of course, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And of course, any questions, queries, or remarks, feel free to leave them in the comments below, and I will, of course, be sure to address them. Okay, so now, Lethality Varus. Now, of course, we've already covered Varus in our basic guide. We've already covered Varus yesterday with the Lethality magic damage, AP, like, you know, hybrid combo, and today we're just going for full lethality. And basically, now that Varus has so many possible builds, alright, here, before we get into that, you can see how Lethal Tempo is helping us to destroy that Ezreal. Like, look at Ezreal's health, he nearly died there. So yeah, Lethal Tempo coming in handy immediately already. With Aerie, we could never have done something like that. So anyways, Lethality Varus, the only real time you want to play him is if the enemy team is super squishy. Now, because Varus has so many builds now, he has like the on-hit, the crit, the AP, etc. The only real time you want to play Lethality Varus is if the enemy team is completely squishy, like with either like no tank or like maybe at best like a bruiser. You don't want to play him against, like, for example, a Leona in the bot lane and you have like a Set in the top lane. Like, that's a no-go. You don't want to play Lethality Varus. Honestly, you still could, because you still do a lot of damage and are very effective against like the enemy mage or marksman. But in my opinion, by that point, you might as well have played a different variant of Varus, as in one of his other builds. So in this case, we have a completely squishy enemy team. We have, like, you know, Ezreal Seraphine bot lane, we have like Rengar in the jungle, we have Kayle, and we have Fizz. Like, they are all complete squishy, and I saw this match. It was like a dream match for like a champion that loves playing against squishies. For example, champions like Lethality Varus, for example, Draven. Draven loves playing against squishy targets, he just destroys them. Speaking of which, I do have a Draven guide coming up in the next few days, so of course stay tuned for that. But of course, first we're gonna go over Varus and his various builds. So here, I'm popping my W for like bonus on-hit damage, and I'm kind of just trying to harass the Ezreal and the Seraphine. They're, you know, coming out worse for wear on the trade, but at the end of the day, nothing too much is going to come of it, and we're going to actually end up resetting here. Honestly, I felt that we could have like stayed in lane and actually pressured them more, because by resetting here, we're actually just letting them push up the wave and letting them reset as well, which is not very beneficial considering we were in the more commanding position. However, Kayn is going in to run interference, and he does force Ezreal to both exhaust and flash, so we still end up getting a major advantage thanks to our jungler. He does have to scamper out though, but the enemy bot lane has absolutely no sums, whereas me and Nami still have both of ours. So if we play our cards right, there should be, you know, at least a kill on one of them coming in the near future. So Seraphine is back in lane, whereas Ezreal is not, so we're just getting some free poke onto the Seraphine. Seraphine did not back with Ezreal for some reason, which didn't really make sense to me, but that is even more better for us. So here we're trying to keep the wave on our side as much as possible, so that they have to walk out a little bit more, so we can have a better chance to kill them. And our wave is now kind of just stacking up. And now that Seraphine wasn't able to back just now, she's actually desyncing her back with Ezreal, and she's now backing, which, again, not a very intelligent move from them. I don't know what's this miscommunication. Here we get a plate. Ezreal ults us down to mostly to clear the minion wave. He arcane shifts forward, which basically gives me the signal that I can just ult him and kill him just like that. Because if you use your Eon and Ezreal, it's really hard to dodge the Varus out after that, and you're just gonna get full combo like what I did just there. So I did take quite a chunk of damage though, of course with getting hit by Ezreal ults and like a couple of Ezreal abilities, but at the end of the day it doesn't really matter. We still get the kill, we still have all our sums, didn't have to use any of them to get the kill, and we're able to back and complete our mana mune. Of course, the faster you get the mana mune, the faster it's going to charge up, the faster it charges up, the faster it's going to evolve, and the faster it's going to give you more damage on your Q and your basic attacks. So now, Lethality Varus, as I said in yesterday's video, not too much action happens generally. You generally are just staying like far away and just poking, which is kind of his main strength here. Here's Seraphine gets caught out in the bush, and I'm able to auto attack her down. Next target is going to be the Ezreal. My ult comes back up mid-fight, and I'm able to ult him down to lock him down to get the double kill. Now here, this is where I make the major mistake. We have no vision on mid, we don't know where's the jungle, but for some reason I'm pushing up, trying to get tower plates, and I exhaust the Rengar, but basically this gets me killed. And in turn, Fizz hits Nami with his ultimate, and I get Nami killed as well. So, you know, stupid mistakes have been made, and you know, it of course happens from time to time. I had no right to be pushing there with no vision of the enemy mid laner and the enemy jungler, both of whom are assassins, but I still decided it was a good idea to walk up and push the tower anyways, kind of just autopiloting there, and yeah, that's kind of a major mistake. So anyways, off of the death, we managed to actually pick up the Dirk because of the 2 kills we got before dying, and now we're headed back into the lane, and we're gonna see what we can do. Of course, we still have a major lead against our lane opponent, so we're still doing alright. Dragon has of course spawned, so we're trying to walk down and trying to stop. Now here I end up being in the front line because Kayn actually runs past me, behind me, and I end up getting focused. I nearly actually survive on 1 HP, but a rogue Seraphine E actually nips me in the backside, and I do end up going down. In the meanwhile, my team is still fighting, and we are definitely losing the fight. Seraphine picks up a double kill, and basically my whole team dies aside from Jax, who's still in a 1v1 versus the Kayle in the Baron lane. And in the meanwhile, of course, this allows the Rengar to go ahead and attack the dragon, I assume together with like 1 or 2 of his teammates who are somewhere around him inside the pit. We can see Rengar briefly flashing on vision. Now Kayn does something really intelligent here. He knows dragon is lost and he goes straight to the herald. I don't know why so many junglers still try to contest dragon even though you know it's gone. If you lost a dragon fight and the enemy team goes immediately onto the dragon, by the time you respawn, you're not going to be able to make it to the dragon and try to steal it or contest it. You're going to like reach the blue buff area or like the wolves area, and the dragon's going to be lost. So there's no point walking towards the dragon, but that's something a lot of junglers and a lot of players do anyway. But the smarter thing to do is, while the enemy team is doing that, they're going to have to do dragon and most likely recall. And this allows you to actually reach the Rift Herald around the time they complete the dragon and start up the Rift Herald. Now, of course, the possibility here is that the enemy team is going to hit directly to Rift Herald to contest, but in which case you should not be too badly disadvantaged because you just came off a death, so now you have full health, full mana, and you should have been able to buy items, whereas if they come directly from dragon, they wouldn't have had time to buy items, and they may not be full resources because they might be still suffering the effects of the previous fight at the dragon. Anyways, one other thing about Varus is he's kind of one of the best ADCs at being left alone in lane while your support roams to like help with heralds and stuff. Like him, Ezreal, you know, are like a lot of these champions like who can stay really safe, are the kind of champions that, you know, are easily just left alone in the lane, and you know, they can just wave clear and just do nothing much. Here Seraphine whiffs the ult, whiffs the E onto me as well. I managed to hit my ulti, finish off the Seraphine, moving on to the Ezreal. Unfortunately, we don't get the kill on Ezreal, but we have no idea once again where Fizz and Rengar is. So this time, we're going to learn from our mistakes, and we're not going to overextend to try to kill the Ezreal, because we have no idea where they are, and you know, they might just end up killing us after we kill the Ezreal. On the bright side, we did manage to complete Yomu's Ghostblade, and we're going to be able to head out with the Yomu's Ghostblade, and by now the Mana Moon is charging, you know, charging well, and it's, you know, going to get to its evolution soon. We're going to head back to the lane, clear out the minions, and wait for the next wave to crash. So here for some reason they warded and they saw my control ward, but they didn't actually clear out my control ward. Not sure why, but this allows us to clear the enemy ward, and now we can do focus the enemy tower bit. We can see Fizz, Kayle, and Rengar on vision, so at worst it's going to be the 2 bot laners coming to stop us, which it is. Of course, we want to be landing poke every opportunity we get. Basically, on Varus, you want to use your you know, abilities off cooldown here. Kayn comes in for the gank, and they overextend. I think even without Kayn, I still think we could have killed both of them because of the fact that, you know, they kind of overextended and Ezreal eat forward. But anyways, with the help of Kayn, we managed to easily secure the kill. Now, Fizz is pushing in the mid lane because Twisted Fate has yet again died. It's a weird AD Twisted Fate, by the way. He has like a Bork and a rapid fire cannon. A really weird build, but yeah. So we go mid lane to catch the wave. Of course, because Twisted Fate is dead, no reason to lose minions in the tower, and after that we can back. Gonna pick up my Lucidity Boots and my Stasis. Now, next up in the build is going to be Serralda's Grudge. However, something that you can do actually is to just get the Serrated Dirk for an increase in armor penetration immediately. Because don't forget that the Serrated Dirk gives you 8 lethality, and the completed Edge of Night also gives 8 lethality. So you can actually get the lethality component of the item first, and this will actually allow you to do a lot more damage earlier on. So anyways, here once again we catch out the Seraphine and the Ezreal. Another quick kill onto the enemy bot lane, who have sort of kind of been feeding at this point. Ezreal is 0 and 5. Seraphine did pick up the double kill at the dragon fight, but she's still doing not doing too hot. She's 2 and 4. On the flip side, on my team, we're generally doing really well. Even the AD Twisted Fate is 5 and 3. Kayn is fed. I am really fed as well. Kayn also has the mirror mana. Of course, I assume he's going for blue form, because red form mirror mana seems pretty weird. Anyways, here we're actually gonna clear out this huge minion wave like so. Really quick, really strong wave clear by Varus. And here the dragon is up. However, the issue is that our Kayn is still dead, and our Twisted Fate and Jax are on the wrong side of the map. So here what we're going to do is we're going to remove the enemy vision, but we're not going to start the dragon. We're just going to wait around for our team. Enemy team actually thinks we've started the dragon and starts chucking spells toward the dragon pit, thinking that they're hitting us, but in reality we're not actually there. This buys us enough time for Kayn to actually rotate over to the party. We can see Fizz on top catching the wave, so this is a good opportunity to quickly fight before Fizz joins the party. Nothing too much happens, no one actually dies. Rengar tries to come in from the flank, but because none of his team is actually focusing us anymore, he ends up basically just donating his life over. I stasis the Fizz ultimate, and I'm able to actually snipe off the kill right as I revive, and I pick up the triple kill. Kayn is able to go for Seraphine for the 4th kill against the enemy team, and only the Ezreal is left, and he's at mid defending against Twisted Fate, who has been basically pushing this whole time. At the same time, Jax is actually also split pushing in the bottom lane, so we basically won this fight 3v4, and as a result our team is getting a lot of value on the map because they're free to basically just split push other lanes. Here I'm just going to quickly just clear out this minion wave. Being lethality, you can burst down the wave really quickly, and after I do that, I actually spot Rengar, and Rengar jumps onto the minions and not me, thankfully, so I'm safe and I'm going to back. Alright, so before we back, actually we're really close to getting Serralda's Grudge, so we just need to farm like this camp, and like we need a little bit more change, and we're gonna be able to get the Serralda's Grudge. So here I'm trying to snipe some minions from afar to try to pick up enough gold for the Serralda's Grudge. Managed to get one caster minion there, and this gives me nearly enough to pick up Serralda's Grudge. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna back, to wait in base for a couple of seconds, and I'm gonna be able to pick up my Serralda's Grudge. There we go. As you guys can see, Serralda's Grudge has been completed, and we're now going to head back out. The only objective left on the map here is actually Baron, and both teams are kind of posturing around the area, which is of course the logical thing to do. My team actually gets into a fight with them before I've managed to reach, and looks like we're winning the fight because the enemy team is kind of just running away at the moment. And here we're trying to give chase. I haven't really contributed anything to this particular fight because I've only just arrived. I'm trying to land down some poke on somebody, anybody, but doesn't really doesn't really catch onto anyone. And yeah, obviously no deaths on the enemy team, not really the best time to start Baron. Honestly, we're 10k gold up, so if we really wanted to, we could try to force a Baron, but no reason to make such a risky play, and if it goes wrong, could turn the tables and put us in a bad position. Now King tries to go for the steal on the red buff, causes the whole enemy team to collapse on him, so me and Nami are here rotating, trying to help him out. Nami hits a pretty good wave onto 3, Rengar tries to jump in, so once again I'm going to hit the root and I'm going to kill him. Seraphine does hit her ulti on me. I do end up dying to the Fizz ult, which was behind me, so I was really caught between a rock and a hard place there, whether I walk back into the Fizz ult or I stay there and take damage from everybody else. So really I think I was dead no matter what I did in this instance. But anyways, my team does manage to pick up the dive onto the kill, and now it's 2v1 against a Fizz, goes untargetable, gets stunned under the tower, and does hit the stasis. Here he's trying to run away, but for some reason he dashes back in and donates his life over, and yeah, so we do get the kill. So here is the whole enemy team is dead. I think it's a good opportunity to push down this tower, which Twisted Fate does end up doing, but Rengar has ulted him and is on the chase. Twisted Fate manages to get the stun card, tries to ulti out, but unfortunately is unable to do so. However, the good news is that Fizz still has a 20-second death timer, and the whole enemy team got distracted by Twisted Fate in the top lane, pushing the top inhibitor, and has gone for him, which basically means that Rengar is on the completely wrong side of the map, which also means that this is basically a free Baron. Rengar is not going to be able to get here. He isn't even trying. He's none the wiser, actually. He's still in the top lane. So we do secure the Baron. And also on a small side note, it ends up being Red Kayn instead of Blue Kayn. So I don't know what's with the Red Kayn mana mune, but that's pretty weird to me. Anyways, we're not here to talk about Kayn, we're here to talk about Varus. So the final dragon is going to spawn. And here, the Jax, who doesn't actually need mana, takes the blue buff instead of giving it to me, someone who actually does need mana. But oh wells. So here, dragons like 20 seconds or so from spawning. And here we of course still have the Baron buff. Jax just walks into the enemy jungle and just ints his life away. Again, you know, solo queue, you know, people do weird stuff. Twisted Fate ults into the enemy jungle and nearly, you know, could end up doing the same. So here, Twisted Fate gets collapsed on. Thankfully, he has a blast plan to get out to. I get the blue buff. And here we're trying to of course focus Dragon. Rengar once again jumps in, gets ulted by Nami, gets ulted by me, and then goes down. I sidestep the Seraphine ultimate, and we're able to get the kill onto you know, Fizz as well as Ezreal, and finally we move on to scoring the final kill onto the Seraphine. And at this point, only kill is left alive. Me and Nami realize that we can simply end the game. Twisted Fate just decides that instead of wanting to win the game, he'd rather get the dragon instead. So he's gonna stay on the dragon and pings us to retreat from the base, which is mind-blowing. Here I whip a huge ult onto the Kayle, but it doesn't really matter whether I kill her or not. We're gonna be able to end the game anyway. She steps forward just a little bit too far, nearly dies to the red buff, ults, and I managed to time it just right to hit her as she comes out of the ulti, and we are able to secure one last kill before we finally pick up the victory. So I'm going to leave you guys with the stats as usual. Thank you guys so much for watching the video. Stay tuned for more Varus tomorrow, and goodbye.